Hey, you guys. Okay, I just want to talk to y'all really briefly. Just finishing up with another one on one session, and a common theme that I see. I don't want to say it's something that always occurs because I do a ton of these, but it's a very common theme. And I just want y'all to just slow down. Slow down. Think about the saying, slow and steady wins the race. Or think about when you actually take the time and just like slow cook something, let it slowly marinate, slowly cook, the flavor is better than rushing and stirring that thing up and just putting it out there, right? So, y'all commonly make careless mistakes or struggle and make it actually more difficult in your learning process because you're trying to rush. Just slow down. And what do I mean by that? All right, let's first talk about studying and then I'll get into questions, right? So as I'm talking to a lot of my review students and we're doing these sessions and we're going through content that they may say that they're weak in, right? And as I'm getting you to tell me this information or we're working through it, you know the content. You know it. Or when you ask me and I'm explaining it to you and then instantly you get it, I see the question, you're like, well, dang, what did I do differently? Slowed down is what you did. I made you slow down. I asked you the questions so that you can slowly talk it back to me. Think about it when someone may ask you about a patient or something, and I hear that a lot. Like, I know this information. If somebody just asks me, I can tell them. But when I get on boards, I struggle because you need to slow down. Now, that's not always the case. You may need to learn the content a little bit more, but a common theme is slow down. That's a portion of your problem. Now, again, back to studying. When I'm teaching things back to you or explaining things to you to kind of break it down, I'm slowing the content down for you. So I'm breaking down what it truly is and then giving it to you in a scenario, usually with me, Brittany's brilliance. I'm going to say something crazy, funny, or whatever for you to retain it. But I have essentially just looked at the content and slowed down and broke it down to you versus you looking at it quickly and getting overwhelmed because it looks busy, it looks like a lot, or you looking at it quickly and creating your own scenario and leaving a portion out or thinking it sounds like something else because you're rushing. Slow down. Slow down. Think about it, and I know it can be so much content that we feel, and we have minimum time, half the time to even get things done. So I get it. But when you rush, you end up having to do it over again. How many times have you studied something and you read it and you read it and you don't even know what you read? So now you got to do it again. So you're still spending more time. So why don't you do it right the first time, right? So break it down in increments. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, so to speak? So break this content down into small bites so that it is not so overwhelming and so that you can slowly review it and do it adequately because we're looking for quality over quantity, right? And we're going to slowly go over this content so that we can truly understand it and retain it, right? Next, for practice questions, slow down. What's happening is you look at these questions, read them real quickly, get it wrong. Know the answer, don't know why you chose that because you were reading too quickly. You probably formed your own scenario in your mind and you put the wrong answer. Or you read the scenario real fast, thought this is what they were asking you on, and selected the answer that was correct to that scenario you created because you need to slow down. So with questions, that's why I always say, read that stem of the question first, because it's going to make you slow down and answer what they're truly asking you versus you looking at the question first, the whole scenario, and creating what you want this question to be about. Now, this is not always the scenario, but it's very common. So one thing you don't want to be your downfall while studying, while taking exams, when going for boards, and definitely not in practice, is that we're making mistakes for going too fast, for rushing, making careless errors. If I gotta miss a point, I want it to be truly that I missed it versus I knew this and I missed because I was rushing. Right? So slow down for me. Slow down. Slow down. And get it right the first time, okay? Take a moment if you get overwhelmed while studying or while testing. Take a moment, breathe, come back. If you feel as though you need to rush, if you feel flustered, if you feel frustrated, you need to pause, stop, take a break, because you're not going to retain it anyway. And slow down and come back and do this thing when you are in a state that you can cover, I don't care what size it is, a smaller portion of content that you can adequately say that, hey, I know this now. I know why this occurs. I know how it presents. I know how to diagnose it. I know differential diagnoses that may present themselves and how to differentiate between those. I know how to evaluate these things, and I know how to treat these things. You will be successful every time. And that's while studying, that's on exams, that's in practice. If you can do those things, you're going to be fine. Slow down. Take your time. Slow it down and execute. Don't allow rushing to be your downfall. Now, if you would like to do a one-on-one session with me, I do typical 1 hour sessions. Some people like to do more than 1 hour. For these type of sessions, I recommend not doing more than 2 at a time, 2 hours at a time, just because I don't like you to get overloaded or burn out on me. But typically, I always tell everybody in those sessions, it's up to you what you really want to do during that time frame. But my top 3 things that we normally do, primarily people like to cover their weaknesses. I give you 1 to 2 weaknesses that we can cover during that hour so that we have enough time to adequately cover those. I have you to send me the areas that you're weak in prior to our session so that we can spend that entire hour just going over whatever areas those are to turn those weaknesses into strengths versus discussing, okay, what area do you want to cover, type of thing. We already have that in place. Number 2, some people just like to go through the systems with me and just talk it out to make sure that they are on track for exam readiness and see if there's some areas that I say, hey, wait a minute, I think you should go back over that, or don't forget this, or X, Y, and Z. Or 3, during that hour time frame, doing practice questions. And that's where I will provide you with practice questions. You answer those. We go over the rationales and whatever that we see that you get incorrect, then those are the areas that I recommend you going back into review on, right? So let me know if you want to sign up for sessions. I think I may have 1 more opening this week, but I've opened up a few more time slots since so many people have been reaching out lately. But I look forward to working with you. If you think that this may be beneficial for somebody else that you know, please do share this with them as well. I'm happy to assist. Looking forward to your exam success, and I will talk with y'all soon. Bye, y'all.